with confidence. Hey, Lacey, thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, excited to be here.
So, Lacey, what does style with confidence mean to you? What is this all about?
I feel that sometimes we get lost in what style is. And for me, it's about showing up who you are and finding a way to be able to express yourself without sort of speaking. So when it comes to those engagements or those sort of events, you can sort of walk into a room and people can sort of understand what you're about. And being able to way to express yourself and show your personality through what you wear and how you present yourself.
Because people make a judgment of you within like, oh, millisecond, it's not even a full second, and they've made a judgment of you. So I guess the way you walk into a room is really important.
Super important. I think the statistics are online. You've got 3 seconds before somebody makes a judgment about you. And in person, you've got 7 seconds before they assume all the things about you. So you've really got, it's really important as your personal brand as how you're going to show up in that moment. Because when we do look at the statistics, it's limited amount of time. You don't have minutes to just say your spiel and get it out there. It's literally those seconds.
That's really hard, actually. 3 seconds online, I get that. That's normally a still image, that's your headshot, etc., on your LinkedIn profile or whatever it is. You've got a certain amount of control over that. But for women, that's 7 seconds at an event. We normally have handbags and purses, and we're trying to hold a drink or, grab a canopy at the same time. Men definitely have it easier there without the handbags. They've got a bit freer hands. That's a big one.
It is big, and I think that that's why it can be so debilitating sometimes, and why a lot of women step into that fear, or 89% of women don't even go to those events because of those judgments and the fear and the decisions of what they have to wear. So it is a lot, but when you can actually make that investment in yourself and kind of go down that path to really unpack it all and make those discoveries, then it becomes a lot easier every single time that you do it.
Oh, 100%. Like a dress with pockets, buy it in every color.
Exactly. And do you know what? I'm a huge fan of, like, if you find an item that you love and it fits you like heaven and you feel confident in it, go and buy a second one, because if that ever runs out, like, you've got a backup. So I'm an absolute fan for that.
Oh, my husband's a big fan of that as well. He's got his favourite pants at the moment, and we have to rush out and try and find another pair before they disappear. So, yeah, he's a testament to that. Now,
Yeah, exactly.
Lacey,
Well, we do live in a world of fast fashion though. So things like come and go so quickly that when you find a good thing, like, you just got to hold on to it.
Lacey, now, did 15-year-old Lacey think this is what she was going to be doing? Because I kind of assumed that, being a stylist and being, you went to fashion week, etc., that's not something that you just switch on. You're a creative, obviously. Where's that come from? Was 15-year-old Lacey sitting in a classroom going, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up?
Oh, it's such an interesting question, because 15-year-old me I was never very academic. And my parents were very unhappy about that. But by the time I was about 17, I decided to go into beauty therapy, and I was doing both high school and beauty therapy. So I went down that sort of path first of doing beauty therapy and makeup. And then it wasn't really until when I was still at school, I was fiddling around with the sewing machine. I was sort of trying to create this uniqueness and what I wanted to wear that was different. I didn't want to go to the department stores. I shopped in op shops. I wanted to cut things and transform them. And then I decided to sort of travel the world and expose myself to more and what was available. And that's what ignited me to just get into styling and get into fashion, to really find a way that I could help other women experience what I was experiencing in the world of fashion.
So where did you head off to first?
When I went traveling,
Yeah.
so I did 6 months around Western Europe and the UK. London was my first stop, and I was obsessed. Like, I'd already been there a few times before, but on this solo trip that I did, I feel like it was the best thing I ever did in my life, because the key points for me, which is surprising maybe to you, but London, Scotland, and France were like the biggest places that I could find to get my hands on fashion and find really unique things that were just so different to what you'd see everywhere else.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Scotland has amazing vintage shops. Like, you could go in there, and London does as well. It's obviously huge, But in Scotland in particular, there was just so many intricate little shops that would have such variety that was just, it felt like it was so untouched. And that just made me explore it even more.
That's funny because I guess I'm used to it, and I'm from the Highlands, so we have a lot of quirky clothes, a lot of Harris tweed, which is beautiful when it's done right. A lot of tartan. Again, tartan can be really if it's just a regular kilt, but there's some amazing things that they do. One of my best friends from home, Deborah, her sister Judy Clark, she makes amazing clothes. I'll need to send you her link.
Yeah.
This amazing clothes out of Harris tweed, and she went to Fashion Week as well a couple of times, and it's so spectacular. But I've seen a lot of that in person because I remember going around to Deborah's when I was younger, and we'd see what Judy was making. But I don't know where I would have found that in a shop in Scotland. But you obviously found it.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes when we live in our own cities, there's so much we haven't discovered because it's home. But I feel like when we travel, it's that part of our brain just switches on to really explore further and deeper into where we are at that point in time.
Yeah, and you get to reinvent yourself. When I came to Perth originally, you go through school, university, jobs, etc. You grow up, you've got your family and everything, that you become a certain person, and you don't really evolve too much until you go outside and you meet new people, because new people give you a new perspective and everything. But coming to the side of the world on my own, definitely got to reinvent myself to a certain extent, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, like they say, like the change of environment can do wonders for you. It's just like you said about the different perspective and the different. I think the different environment creates a different way that we feel, and that we may feel more inspired or more of a pull to try something different that we haven't tried before.
Now, you've been in Europe, you've done London, etc. I will say, I remember when I was younger walking around London, and like all the ladies in their business outfits, they'd have these amazing business outfits, but because they had to commute so far, they would have trainers or sneakers on with these outfits. Did you see a lot of that?
Yeah, it's like, and you still see a lot of that. Like when I lived in Melbourne, you still see that, and I'm like, there are better ways that are still comfortable to go about it. But like, if that makes you feel good and you're happy with that, like you do you.
You do you, 100%. You just need to tap them all on the shoulder and say, hey, I've got an option for you.
Have that walk up with some sneakers that are just a little bit better.
Some glittery ones, yeah, I like that.
Maybe.
So where did we head off to after Europe?
So pretty much when I came home from Europe, I was home in Perth for about 2 months. And then that's it. I packed up everything and moved to Melbourne. And then that's where I started studying styling. And I did it. There's a lot of stylists that have just, come off their own back. They're very intuitive with what they do. And for me, I think the push of my parents of being more academic and having all the pieces of paper, I was like, no, I'm going to go and learn from someone, because I think there's no better way to learn than learning from somebody else. So I went and studied styling, and then my mentor then took me on, and I started working in her style consultancy at Chadstone for I think 5 years. So it was such a huge throw in, because that was all about personal styling, and being in Melbourne, such a big city, it's so hard to explain. It's like fire went off within me, and I just wanted to try everything in styling. I did editorials, I did celebrities, I styled at fashion weeks for like 4 years in a row, and it just enabled me to really try everything that there was to offer in styling. And then it sort of brought me back to what I felt most rewarded in doing moving forward.
So tell us a bit about Fashion Week, because that sounds pretty incredible.
Fashion Week is like a whole different game. I could work 18 hours in a day and have like some crackers to eat. It's really, really hard work, but the amount of adrenaline that you feel and the show that is performed, it keeps you going. It's an experience that I still love to this day. I just don't think my energy could keep up. And, I'm a very high energy person, and I've suffered with anxiety. And I think, unfortunately, it did bring out a bit of anxiety. So it wasn't exactly the place for me to be. And it's, even though everybody looks amazing as they go out on the catwalk, and these are like pieces that nobody's seen before, and it's that whole mystery behind it, it wasn't exactly rewarding for me. Like, I wanted to be able to make a change to somebody's life rather than just showcasing all the beautiful things in the world.
Yeah, and I think that's where the disconnect is when you think of styling and you think of Fashion Week, because I look at Fashion Week and I even, Judy's clothes that I was talking about earlier, I remember looking at them, but they were not made for someone like me. They were not made for a girl with boobs or a girl with hips. They were for sticks. They were for models. So there is that disconnect, but that's not what you do, because you've got this amazing quote that it's not your body, it's your clothes. So talk to us a little bit about what it is that you do for, because you're working with all shapes and sizes. What does that involve?
Yeah. So where I actually came up with that quote is because even right now, as I say this, if somebody goes and looks in a mirror, you'll actually hear all the negative commentary that comes up. It's literally what is ingrained in us is we like to critique ourselves rather than give ourselves a positive affirmation. And it's really important when it comes to a change room, because when we're out of our home in that comfort zone, we go to a shopping center. That's my dog. We go to a shopping center and then we're trying on all these clothes, trying to embrace ourselves and empower ourselves. And then we look into a mirror there and then, and all of a sudden get overwhelmed and we feel like crap. And then we leave that place feeling horrendous, just wanting to run to our cars. So creating that quote was like, just remember, it's not your body that's the problem. Sorry. But, hey, it's not our bodies that are the problem. It's the clothes. You just haven't found the right fit. You haven't got the right cut. You've got the right style. And that's why I feel it's so important. It's so important. It's fine. Enough, please. Thank you. That's it.
He's got some opinions as well.
He's got very big opinions, and he thinks that there's a show going on, and he's like, I'm not involved.
I think you make some really great points there, though, because, like you said, there's a lot of shops that you go into, the clothes only go up to a certain size. You're a different size in different shops. I mean, I've got 4 different sizes in my closet, depending on where it's come from. That you pick up the size you think you're going to be, you get in the changing room, and all of a sudden you lose all that confidence. You feel crap. But you're right, it's nothing to do with your body. It's just that those clothes don't fit it.
100%. And I usually say, if you're going to go shopping, grab 2 sizes. If you think you're a 12, or even 3, grab a 10 and a 14, because you actually don't know. And the thing is for such a long time, we've determined our worth on the number or the letter that's on the back of our clothes. And it's not about that at all. It's about how they fit us and how we feel in them. And if you want to go and wear loud prints and, wear eccentric things, then wear it. But if you don't feel good in it and you don't think it fits you well, then don't wear it. Try something else. And that's where, like, the discovery process, I try and make it exciting for women rather than being stuck in the fear and getting so debilitated by it, to actually make it a journey of discovery and something fun to do. So I think that's why I bring back, like, I always tell my clients to play dress ups in your wardrobe, because if you don't play dress ups, how are you going to have fun in the wardrobe?
This is very true. I think I need to get you over here to sort out my wardrobe, because Stefan actually built me a walk-in wardrobe because I've got so much clothes. And like I said, in umpteen different sizes, and half of it doesn't fit and probably never will. But you need someone to tell you that, because you've always got these hopes that one day it will fit.
Well, it's not, we've got the hopes, but it's also, as women, we're quite emotional. So we have feelings about our clothes. And I had a conversation about this with one of my friends who's also a stylist today. And it's about those feelings about something, the memories we have to it, or the fact that we created it, or somebody helped us design it, or there's all these sort of layers that when somebody else can come in and help you unpack all of that, the decisions are made like that. And it's no longer about, I need to have the amount of clothes in my wardrobe and only wear 20% of them. It's about, I want all those clothes in my wardrobe to inspire me every day, not like, ugh.
So are you a fan of the capsule wardrobe?
Look, I feel not so much a capsule wardrobe, but it's important to have those staple items in the wardrobe. Because when we have a good range of staples, that's where we can have those unique pieces and still be able to make multiple outfits with everything that we've got. I can't say I'm a minimalist.
No, you definitely aren't a minimalist, but I mean, I presume that a lot of the women you work with are the complete opposite of you, hence why they're working with you. And I would, I'm making assumptions here, I would assume that a lot of them don't get as loud as you do, but it's not about that. It's about getting to a point that they're still comfortable or are comfortable, become comfortable, but also making an impact, having, you know, when you walk into a room, people notice you. I mean, obviously, personal branding's my thing. I think it's super important. I always say to someone when they're designing their logos, or you know, if it's their own business, if they're designing a logo, etc., make sure that the colors are stuff that you love and colors that you probably would wear as well, because you do tend to, if you enjoy those colors and then also it's part of your branding, etc., it goes on. And I know tonight that you picked your outfit based on your brand colors. Those are colors that you enjoy, but they're also part of your branding. Is that a part of the process working with you as well?
Yeah, I'm very big on having consistency. So even though I don't have an entire wardrobe full of my brand colors, it's having the consistency across your platform. So it may not be just a color in your pants, like you can't even see that I've got pink pants on. But it may not be like the color in clothing, but bringing it out in lipsticks or hair accessories and finding ways that you can zhuzh up your outfits that doesn't have to be loud. And no, you're exactly right. My clients don't necessarily want to be as loud as I am. And that's a good thing, because otherwise there'd just be clones everywhere. And that's not what it's about. It's about finding those things that do light you up, whether it's a color, a pattern, a certain style, or, you know, a certain shape of dress. You know, they're the things that I help my clients to discover, so they can create that wardrobe that actually lights them up for them, for their personality, for their brand, and for their vision of their business and where they want to go.
So the women that you're working with, it's predominantly to build their brands online as opposed to in person, because we've obviously talked about both, but you know, when I had a look at your website, it was very much focused, and you know, we were obviously connected on Instagram and you know, talk quite a bit. It looks like it's very much focused on bringing that person online, because there's people that can walk into a room quite confidently that can't post for the life of them on social media. Is that where you're bridging it for them?
Yeah, because look at the world we live in, and it's so important in 2021. I mean, I was saying it in 2020, but now we're in 2021, and it's so important to be online. If you're just hiding behind a logo, it's not going to help your brand, and you're not going to get to the places that you need to be or want to be within your brand, within your business, within your career. And it's not even just about owning a business, because in your career, let's just say a real estate agent, you know, they could be working for somebody, but by putting your face out there, doing videos and showing up, that can help bring in the clients that you need to make that work. So I feel that the online platform is a very scary platform for a lot of people. And it starts somewhere. Everybody's got to start somewhere. To all my clients, I always say, go back to the very first IGTV that I ever put out. And you can just see how I am and then see how I am now. Like, we all have to start somewhere. It's just about not getting in your head so much, finding a style and finding a way that you can present yourself that you genuinely feel authentic and confident in. That will actually help you to show up more and more and more, and it just gets easier.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. And you're right. It's not whether you have a business or whether you're employed or, you know, whatever your status is. Everybody needs to be online. I mean, we're all online anyway, even, you know, people who aren't interested in personal branding or career development or anything. You've got Facebook, you've got Instagram. You are putting something out there in the world. You have a personal brand, but you never know if you are, you know, a little bit more, I guess you've got some strategy behind it, what opportunities might come from that.
Yeah, and just going back to as well what you said, I mean, everything that I do with my clients is still even about showing up at events. A lot of the people I work with want to collaborate more and speak at events. So it's all in the one thing, but I think I really try to help coach them with getting online, because that opens up so much opportunity where they can then go and get those speaking events or speak to the group of people that they want to be in front of.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And I think that, you said it right at the very beginning. You've got 3 seconds online, 7 seconds in person. And that first encounter is so, so important. Like, we're human. We're not meant to judge a book by its cover, but we do. And we do it every single day when we meet people. And it's totally fine if you're not someone's cup of tea. That part's fine. But as long as you're confident in yourself, and that's why I love what you're doing, because you're making them confident enough in themselves that it doesn't matter if people don't gel with them, because there's plenty of other people that do, and you're so confident that it doesn't matter, that you don't have to please everyone.
100%. There was one comment that came from, I can't actually pinpoint where I first heard it, but if you're not turning anybody off, you're not turning anybody on. And it's basically like, exactly, there are so many people in the world, and there is so much work out there for everybody. You can't look at other women in business, in your industry, as competition. It's about how we collaborate and how we create community that really helps everybody. Then it doesn't create that separation between us all, because we're all here to do our thing, and everybody is so unique in their own way that you're going to attract those people that like your uniqueness. And the people that don't, that's cool. They'll find somebody else. And that's nothing to do with your worth and how your self-esteem and self-confidence needs to be.
Oh, completely. And, I think you've pretty much summed it all up there, that it's, you don't have to be everyone's cup of tea. You just have to, conflict is always how you win people, though, because people, if you're a fence sitter, you get nowhere. So whether it's, your opinions and you're vocalizing something, or if it's the way you turn up and the way that you look, it is going to put some people off, and it's going to attract other people. So it's very interesting. I mean, it's all psychology. That's why I love it. I just think it's so interesting. As humans, we think we know what we know, but really we've got no idea why we do the things we do.
No, exactly. But like sitting on the fence, I mean, that's just us being comfortable. But if you really want to make an impact, you have to take risk. And it can be calculated risk, it can be baby steps risk, but at some stage you've got to get outside that box and try something, because what is it? The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different outcome. So if you're not going to give it a try, then what's the point?
Yep, definitely. And quite honestly, if you are yourself and you show up as you don't have any competition, because no one else can actually be you. We're never going to get past this where there's millions of accountants, millions of lawyers, millions of personal brand strategists, millions of stylists, but no one else in the world does it exactly the same way as you do what you do and I do what I do. And, we turn off lots of people, but at the same time, we attract lots of people. So just be happy with that. No one is you.
100%. And look, we wouldn't be here talking right now if we weren't doing what we were doing. So
I love it. Lacey, what's next for you?
What's next? So at the moment, I'm collaborating with a couple of photographers, really trying to finish off that complete process. So getting those branding shoots done, which then they can spread everywhere and have the consistency of images across the platforms. And I'm really just going to stay doing what I'm doing for now. I love being able to work with clients one-on-one. It's the amount of transformation that I can see from the beginning to the end. Like the light that I feel inside when that happens, it just blows me away. It blows me away how keen and consistent the clients can be, and how much they apply everything and just want to give it a shot. It really takes women quite a while to make that decision to work with me, because they know they have to want it, and they know that they have to go and get it. But the one-on-ones are really where I'm at, and just keep running my live masterclasses. I try and do a live masterclass here in Perth every 2 months, hopefully moving them to online every other month as well, just to really spread the word. And I like to offer as much value as I can on social media, because I think there's a lot that we can do from home, and you don't have to necessarily jump in straight away, but that's where there's lots of variety of options to be able to have that entry point and then continue on, just to get your image and your brand to make an impact in your business.
I love it. I love what you're doing. I've been following along for a while on Instagram, and I think it's brilliant. It obviously really aligns with what I'm doing, and I gel with you. But how can everyone else who wants to get involved with the masterclasses or find out about one-on-one with you, where do they have to go to find that?
So best place is probably my Instagram. So it's at I'm Your Go-To Girl. I also talk a bit on my podcast, which is Showing Up in Style. There's a series that I've just started, which is particularly around personal branding, your style, and like showing up, the importance of it. But everything, the links are there, and also on my website, yourgotogirl.com.au.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lacey. Just before I wrap up, I just want to remind everyone that I've got my Build Your Personal Brand on LinkedIn Masterclass this Thursday, the 11th of February at noon, if you're in Perth. And you just need to go to the website or my Instagram or LinkedIn, find the link and register for that. And I will see you there. Thank you so much, Lacey. And I will speak to you soon.
Bye.